the way you answered that. It enlightened me, because a lot of times when you, especially when you see people who are out there to help, right? We're very honest. We're like, listen, there is nothing. The reason we call it the Layman's Lab is because we don't know.
Yeah.
We're going to try and figure this out with you. We're on the journey with you.
Just a couple hard-working dudes.
Yeah, we're just going to try and figure this out. And the way you answered is how I would expect something. You are the person I would go to for advice, because you're telling me, I haven't figured it out. I've gone on a path and I've got a lot of answers, and I can help you through my experience, but I haven't figured this out. Where I
might be a little further ahead of you.
Yeah, you know, but I've been through this, where I feel a lot of people who offer help try and give this idea that they're perfect. You know, my life is perfect, and I've figured it all out, which I believe no one has and no one can.
I totally agree.
If you think you have all the answers, you're highly mistaken.
Yes.
Highly mistaken, because what you believe today may be totally different 5 years from now. And again, you know, all we're doing is walking each other home.
Yeah.
A good phrase a friend of mine, Brad, uses at ceremony all the time. You know, we're just walking each other home.
Yeah, and then let's talk about community, because you've created a community that can come together at Chill Coffee. You know, you've got men's groups there. Is how do you feel men have lost the sense of community? Because what I feel is, you know, we've gotten to a point where there used to be communities with men, as you say, is we would fluctuate towards sports teams. You'd be in the military and you'd have certain aspects, but I think men today are finding it very difficult to create communities around each other, right? And also without having to say, well, I'm part of a jiu-jitsu club or I'm part of this club. Just being able to go to other men and have a like-minded conversation, putting your ego aside and putting any other feelings aside, just having a conversation with them and realizing that we're all going through the same thing.
Yeah, I think it's the culture out there. You know, we've become accustomed for so many decades to a world of alcohol and excess. Yeah. And, you know, to be a man is to be able to go out and, you know, pack down 6 or 7 drinks at a bar and still get to work in the morning. Yeah. You know, these and then these environments that you would go into, you know, it changed, and the world is changing. The places to go are different. Even the regular gym, if you go into like Crunch Fitness or LA Fitness, people are TikTok videoing, they're doing their thing. You know, it's different. So,
it's not the same,
you know, it has become more difficult. And that's why I think getting out there and doing events and, you know, having a place that's, you know, welcoming and safe to talk about stuff like this.
Yeah.
You know?
I think that's why we've had this, like, I mean, we're big guys, you see us, like, the fact that like we're willing to open up and peel back the onion on some of these very difficult topics is a way to just show like, look, we don't have it all figured out, but we're real and vulnerable about what we've been through. Dude, I'll be honest, like there was a point in time for me where I was like, on paper I looked like I had all my shit together, and then when I really like looked at myself, I was like, dude, you're a mess. Your house is put on a deck of cards. Like, you're not doing this, you're not doing this, you're not doing that. And of course, for us, like, fitness is king. Like, we think that, you know, our belief system is like, it starts with fitness. Like, if you're a healthy body, it translates to a healthy mind. You know, and a healthy mind translates to so many other places. And I think that the first step to that is being vulnerable with people and being able to just come in and be like, I don't have all the answers. And Robbie talked about it on his podcast, where like, that's what's cool about jiu-jitsu, where a guy that can walk in there with like this big ego and pride is going to get pushed out really fast in a sense, because like, you can't be that way.
Jiu-jitsu was, and I ran a black belt for business operation for a while too, because jiu-jitsu, it basically humbled me and made me really quick, you know, to understand that I didn't know anything, you know, and I still don't, you know. I'm a 10-year blue belt.
Just all trying to figure this out.
And I've gone through injuries after injuries, but, you know, it's you're always just learning new stuff.
Yeah, I mean, I would tell you that I feel like I'm a pretty capable guy, and they made me look like I was a ragdoll in there. I mean, I've never trained jiu-jitsu, but it was just amazing how well they just handled me.
And Robbie's got probably one of the best schools that I've ever seen. His teaching is unparalleled. That guy was an ADCC competitor, pro MMA fighter. Lived in his gym. If anybody is going to teach you jiu-jitsu, you want to go to him.
I find it, that's also something that's very important to me, is being able, when Robbie was in, we wanted to go in and say, listen, we don't do jiu-jitsu, and we're willing to put our ego aside and show how effective it is as a jiu-jitsu. in the same breath, if you brought those guys to come do our workouts, I would make them throw up. Right? Because, and it's the respect for each one, because I think they are giants at what they do, and you want to showcase that, and you don't want to put it out. And I think that's a very important thing for men also to do, is realize that experts in their field are experts for a reason. Don't shit on someone's talent. Don't shit on what they do. They are good for a reason.
Yeah, and you, just like a doctor, he can be the most amazing neurosurgeon there is, but he could suck at poker. But he thinks he's the best.
There you go. And, put that ego aside.
Because he's the best neurosurgeon.
Yeah.
So because he's the best of that, he's got to be the best at everything. And that's why those are the guys that lose the most money at the tables. And
that's a man problem right there. Yeah. Men tend to do that. We want to believe we're the best, we're the strongest, we're the fastest, until we find something that's not, and we kind of have to. I hate when people have to down someone else because they have something you don't, right? Yep. Instead of looking, going, you know what, they earned what they have, whether it be from genetics, whether it be from just the pure hard work they put in, and admire it for what it is, and just be the best you can be.
I feel like that's a societal issue where we have kids that are wired to in school be the best student and like make all the good grades. Then you put them in sports and you're wired to be the best. Like it's at the sport that you're playing, whether it's a team or an individual. So then as you progress and like we leave sports behind, academics behind. What's next? I go be an employee for a company and I'm supposed to be the best and get promoted. And so it's like this mindset gets ingrained in you that everything that I was going to do in my life, and I do agree it's more in men than women. That everything that I ever did in my life, I was going to be the absolute best at it. I wasn't always the best at it, but that was what my mindset was going into it. And I think that's a fundamental flaw culturally.
Yeah, well, it steers you in a way, but do you remember 21 years ago or so when everybody got a trophy?
Yeah.
And it went so far the other way.
Yeah.
So instead of finding an even
balance,
and sometimes that happens. You were too greedy, so now you become too generous.
Right. Yeah.
So it's how do you find that
pendulum. I feel we overcorrect and undercorrect and overcorrect, and I feel the pendulum's kind of almost in that point where we kind of come back a little bit quicker than what we went away. But
it's a roller coaster. We love the excitement of going all the way up and all the way down.